All right, welcome to Tattoo Squid Podcast. Your host Dre, and we got Cheap Seats review. How's it going?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. You know, the Sunday. I know we had a thing planned for Saturday, but things went awry. So how was the planetarium?
It was good. So I live. First of all, just feel free to call me Sean. You don't have to call me by just the podcast name. But
No, I know, I just want to get it out there so that we just go like,
yeah, yeah. I'm Sean from Cheap Seat Reviews. And so yesterday, like you said, we were supposed to record, and my son, my 8-year-old son, now 9-year-old, had his birthday 2 weekends ago, and my mom bought him tickets to the planetarium. So I live in North Carolina and Charlotte, North Carolina, and in Chapel Hill, where the University of North Carolina is, they have a planetarium. And so we drove the 3 hours over there to watch a kind of show about the sky and what's in our night sky here in the Carolinas, things like that. So it was neat. We had a good time, and he had a good time with it. So I didn't get home until very late.
Oh yeah, I would imagine. I mean, I haven't been to a planetarium. Oh God. I think when I was in high school, I guess. I don't even know. I was like probably after high school, I think I went to one, I think for like my nephews or something. But so tell everybody what Cheap Seat Review is if nobody hasn't like on my channel, hopefully they would know, but if they don't know,
Sure.
keep
So
a
we're a streaming we're a podcast that reviews movies, typically movies that are streaming on Netflix, Prime, HBO, Disney Plus, anywhere you can get it that they're streaming. We will watch them. We've been doing it since January of 2014. And I guess our tagline is the podcast that explores the Hollywood film industry for the greater good.
all right. And then you have something on the show, three things, I guess, that I can't forget what it was.
Yeah, so we each week we have lots of different little I say lots. We have several kind of weekly segments that we do with it every episode. So each person creates what they call a 5-word review, or we watch the movie and then we take just 5 words to review it, and then that's our jumping point into the greater conversation about the movie. And then from there, we just discussed the movie. I'll play clips from the movie and get trivia as well. And then also we'll do a 3-word review, or not 3-word, top 3. So we'll do a category that's somehow related to the movie. Sometimes we have to do a stretch. Sometimes it's pretty obvious. And then we'll just talk about other movies that we like that are related to that one in that top 3 category. And then we'll give it a score. And then, yeah, it's our show.
Yeah, it's an awesome show. I mean, we call it, like, when I was on there, it was like funny as hell. We were talking about Army of the Dead, but that was like on Netflix with Dave Bautista, which everybody would know that is from Guardians of the Galaxy, and plus he's been in numerous movies after that. Also, was there anything new that you watched recently, like from streaming and all that? I mean, I know you're not a horror podcast kind of thing. Like, you don't really review that much, I think.
We do some horror films. We do it when we're required to do it, so to speak.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny to think about. So October is coming up, and so we'll do some horror movies for October. And we've had a few kind of horror-ish movies recently. We've just had guests on that wanted to watch some more horror type films.
Yeah.
But to answer your question specifically, the only thing I've watched recently was the last week's episode where we watched Game Over Man. That's the Netflix original, came out a couple of years ago with Adam Devane. It's the dudes from the TV show Workaholics.
Okay.
And they did a movie. It's basically Die Hard, except instead of getting John McClane, you get 3 idiots. They're trying to save everybody and whatever. It's funny, it's gross, it's crude. There's a lot of dicks in the movie. I mean, like literally, there's a lot of dicks in the movie. It's an interesting movie.
Yeah, to say the least. It's like, oh wow, let's see what this is. Like, there's a whole bunch of dicks going on. Oh boy.
Yeah.
But I think what I've seen is, well, everybody's been talking about this the movie Malignant.
Yeah.
So and I was timid about it because I'm like I wasn't sure about because I hear a lot of reviews about it and from House Wheel Horror and uh High on Horror with Foreigners by Nerds and everybody else. And I'm like, okay, I got intrigued. And I'm like, all right, let me go and watch this. So watch it last night. And to me, it was like a basic. I don't know if you ever seen it, but just saying we call it. It's a good movie. It's something somewhat new, but it, it could be. It's not what the hype would be, I would think, but I mean, it is something different, and they have a great soundtrack kind of thing, which they place it in the wrong areas of the movie, but it is what it is. But then I saw another thing on Netflix. Are you familiar with like Daredevil movie and or the series actually on Netflix
Oh yeah, the Daredevil show is great. It's one of my favorites.
Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones. So I forget what the name of the person that stars Jessica Jones. She
Kristen Ritter.
Yes, thank you. She is in a movie. I can't remember the name of it. Basically, the movie is about like Hansel and Gretel, but like more of an age of it's talking about Hansel and Gretel. So the witch, gets kind of like captured by one of the kids, and the kid becomes a witch herself and takes all these kids and like kidnaps them or just takes them. And it's been like how many years she's been doing it, and she wants one of the kids or any kid to like read her a book, something that's not oh yeah, I think it was called
Night books.
yeah, night books, thank you. Yeah, the man on the computer.
Yeah.
Which I should have done the same thing myself, but it just came up, and it's a really good movie. It's like it had a kid, and the kid just only knows how to write like horror stories.
Mm-hmm.
And he just goes on, and it's just like an evil cat, and there's like little spider looking uh things or whatever. But it was a decent movie, and I'm like looking at it, I'm like, all right, that witch looks a little familiar. But so I mean, what else is going on with Cheap Seats Review? Anything high on the list or anything big?
Well, I won't say anything big yet. So let's see. October, like I said, is our horror month.
Yeah.
We have a few movies lined up already. We're going to be doing Blade, the first Blade, and then we're
Okay.
going to do Doctor Sleep, and then The Conjuring 2, because we did The Conjuring like 2 years ago, so we're going to do The Conjuring 2. We haven't picked our fourth movie for the month yet. And then one of our listeners messaged me about a month ago and said, all right, you've reviewed the 3 prequel Star Wars movies, and you've reviewed the 3 sequel movies. Now you have to do the original trilogy, or I'm going to be upset. And I said, well, I hadn't actually ever planned on reviewing those because everybody loves them. Like what more could I offer to that universe? And she says, I want to hear you talk about it. And I was like, okay, then we'll do it. So in November, we're going to be doing A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi.
Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, because with the 3 movies that you mentioned about, like Blade, honestly, that is just like the start of a trilogy as it is, and awesome movie. Doctor Sleep, I saw that I think like last year, and I love I'm not good with names again, but anyway, was that
Ewan McGregor is the lead in Doctor
No,
Sleep.
no, no. I know it's Ewan McGregor, but I was trying to like, the not the Misery, the Shining. We call it. So when you see the Shining, the first one, this is like a continuation when
Yeah.
he's like older now, and he has the Shining. For people that don't know, and Conjuring 2 is pretty much a continuation of both the married couple that go on, and it is continuations on every level of movies. Between The Conjuring, Annabelle. It's pretty much everything revolves around those two. Which my suggestion is also The Nun is like scary, more scarier than The Conjuring and Conjuring 2, I would think. But then there is a movie that I would think. Now I'm not sure if you're into like, I know you're doing the thing for October, but if my suggestion would be like maybe like somewhere like an old favorite like Friday the 13th or Halloween or Hellraiser, of some sort. I mean, I would say
Yeah,
that fourth one.
we typically do. So what we've done in the past is, so originally when the show was 4 of us,
Yeah.
and then 2 of those people have left, and we've added a new third. None of us are really big fans of horror. Just
Yeah.
none of us have been. So usually what ends up happening is, for Halloween, our Halloween movies, is there's one that's kind of legitimately scary, and then I'll find at least one that looks like a dumb scary.
Mm-hmm.
Like one year we did Zombievers, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
I'm using air quotes as it's a horror movie because there's zombie beavers killing people, but it's really dumb and funny, and there's nothing scary about it. And then we'll do something that I've never heard of, like an indie kind of thing, and then there'll be, and then that fourth one will just kind of be a whatever. Maybe it's like legit scary, maybe not. And so this year, with having Blade, which is kind of our action, again using horror as a air quote because it's vampires, it's not real horror, but kind of. And then Doctor Sleep and The Conjuring are both kind of like legit kind of scary movies.
Yeah.
It might be fun to in the month on something kind of dumb, maybe.
Yeah.
But there's also the idea, I do kind of like the idea of maybe doing like the original Halloween, because it would be a cool tie-in. Sam and I from my show, we guested on another podcast called Measuring the Score, and we reviewed the original Halloween and the new 2018 Halloween, but from the the film score perspective. And so maybe it might be kind of a neat tie-in to have our review of the podcast from the perspective of the movie, just the movie review part. So
yeah, and plus you got Halloween Kills that's going to be coming out in October as well, October 14th, I think it is, or something.
Yeah.
And then so what about well, now you got that going on, and I usually do something for Halloween, like pretty much the whole month. I usually just go a movie each day. But that's when I started doing podcasting. So now I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna limit it to like a weekend or something. But also Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
You got Ghostbusters coming out in November, and The Matrix Revelations. I believe, that's going to be in December. Now, what are your thoughts about that? Now, because I mean, are you into like Matrix and?
Oh gosh, yeah, I love the first one. I guess I track a little bit. So most people kind of loved the first one, didn't like the second one, and hated the third one. I think that's how I understand that most people feel, is that the third one got too magic-y and too whatever.
Yeah.
I don't hate 2 and 3, but they came out in a time, because they came out when I was in college. So at the time, I wasn't looking for movies to blow me away mentally. I was there for the spectacle of the thing.
Yeah.
And so I don't mind them. I think, no, yeah, the fight scene between Neo and the agent at the end of the third one is a little dumb.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of weird CGI bendy thingies happening, but I legitimately love the fight scene at the dock when all the Sentinels are coming in and they've got all these guys in these mech suits all shooting at the things, whatever. Like I love a good mech suit movie.
Yeah.
It goes up 2 or 3 points if you get a mech suit. So I don't have a problem with that. So seeing the trailer for the new Matrix, I'm kind of excited because it looks. I mean, I kind of like this idea that, I mean, maybe I want to make sure I'm misspeaking, but it kind of feels like, he's still alive and that he's been replugged in and that he's going to have to remember what he was before. I think there's something really interesting about that.
Well, I think from what I got from the commercial as it is that he is, back in the real world doing, working, going throughout, the regular time and everything else. And there is the point where, does he want to go back, and do this thing where he's more powerful, more, like more than himself kind of thing. And then he gets that opportunity, he chooses either, the blue or the red pill, whatever, and he chooses like the blue, and then, he did his thing, like then he saw Trinity, which in his time, I guess, the real time, and then you have Trinity but went by her alter ego name, I would think her, on that. And that one is just like, it's like almost like I'm not gonna say every Matrix, but there's gonna be a catch to it because you don't have Morpheus. You do have Morpheus, but you don't have Lawrence Fishburne in it. So it's another guy that's gonna be playing Morpheus, I would think, or maybe a younger version of Morpheus. And that would be kind of cool to find out how that all unrolls. Now, what about Ghostbusters? What is your? I mean, everybody loves Ghostbusters. Not, if you do, you've seen it. Everybody has their yes and no qualities of it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have a funny kind of weird story arc with Ghostbusters. So I've probably seen Ghostbusters, I would say every bit of 30 times.
Oh yeah.
And I say that, but there's an asterisk. So when we would visit my grandmother at the beach, she had, when I mean basic cable, I mean, even, as a kid, I'm a child of the 80s, but, I grew up I was born in the 80s, but I grew up in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And so even in the 90s, she had like 12 channels on the TV. Like she just didn't have a lot. So
typical grandma, yeah.
Yeah, which was fine. You didn't go to grandmom's house because she lived at the beach here in North Carolina. I mean, when I say beach house, I mean, just saying.
Yeah.
Take it in the hole. Because I can hear you. Yes. Sorry, my son came in. He's doing his chores. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to empty the trash can. I was supposed to put the trash can in the hallway, and I forgot. And so he's in here trying to be very quiet, but I'm trying to instruct him. Just take it out into the hallway. But at this point, the cat's out of the bag, so he's just going to do it now.
Well, hey, at least everybody's teaching their kids the right way of like, doing stuff and chores and so which is good.
Bye, buddy.
That family wholesome thing down, yeah.
You're good, pal. All right. Anyway, sorry about that. So we would go down to visit grandma. Like I said, when you go to visit grandma, she lives at the beach. So I mean, we were about a mile from the ocean. So it was always, we were at the beach, like the ocean and doing that stuff. So when we went to grandmom's house, it wasn't, I mean, we would go there during the winter time. So there was other things to do. So she had 3 VHS tapes of TV recorded movies.
Okay.
Ghostbusters was one. The second one was about 4 episodes of the Thundercats. And I watched those same 4 episodes, a bunch of times. And the third one was, it was more of an adult movie, so I didn't watch it. I don't remember what it is now, I think about it. It was probably something, I don't remember off the top of my head now. But so basically, anytime I was there and we weren't actively doing something and I was allowed to go watch TV, I would watch Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
So again, I've seen it 30 times easily. So we reviewed it for the podcast about 4 years ago, and I watched it on streaming. And I did not realize how different the theatrical cut is compared to the TV release.
Yeah.
So I had never seen the part where Dan Aykroyd is having the we'll call it a wet dream about a ghost. Like that wasn't in the versions that I had seen. There's a couple other swear words in there that I hadn't seen. And I'm sorry, man.
No, it's okay.
Shut the door. Sorry, that was my 5-year-old daughter that came in. They're not used to me recording on a Sunday, so I guess
it is what it is. They're
usually asleep by now, or not by now, but like when I record. So
anyway,
so it was really interesting experience for me, because the guys was like, this is a beloved film, Ghostbusters, and here I am kind of seeing it almost as for the first time.
Yeah.
So it was neat. So to answer your question specifically about Ghostbusters Afterlife, is I'm very excited for it. I didn't see the girl version, the all girl Ghostbusters. I just didn't see it, and not for any reason other than everyone said it was bad. And so I just didn't watch it.
I mean, I seen it. I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, it's a different spectrum, Like there was when you see like the Ghostbusters like cartoon or whatever, when we're younger, they had a Ghostbuster cartoon series, and there was one episode where there's an alternate universe where there is evil Ghostbusters, or there's ghosts chasing humans, and they're capturing them. So it's like the yin and yang kind of thing. So you got the male point, now you got the female point. So it's like an alternate universe kind of. I'm not saying it is an alternate universe, but that's what it feels like, because now it's like a woman's point of view of doing Ghostbusting. And I had no problem. The only thing I had a problem with, they should have had Janine Melnitz from the original Ghostbusters being in this, being like somewhat the secretary or the friend or just a cameo. But they did the cameos with, Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and, Winston Zenmore, which I forgot the name. I just call him Winston. So,
name, but
yeah. So it's like, like that, instead of Thor, being the secretary, but maybe that's like eye candy for the other women that's watching the movie.
Sure.
That's
what it is.
Yeah. So like we had Sigourney Weaver for R, kind of thing. So, but
I don't know. I did not watch it, and most of the people that told me like it's a bad movie, almost none of them cared that it was women. They said it was just bad writing. That the jokes weren't funny, that the story was dumb. They said they didn't care. If you want to do an all women cast, do it. Just make it good.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of makes me excited about this new one, is that it kind of feels like kind of a throwback. I mean, it's obviously modern day. And you're using the kid from Stranger Things, and but isn't it like, I think there's some crossover with the original one, right? Isn't the oh gosh, I'm getting my mixed up here. It's the same director, right? Isn't it the same director?
I believe it's the same director. Yeah.
Jason Reitman is directing this. Is the new one? Yeah. So I don't think he didn't direct the original, but he's directed. He's done some funny stuff.
I think the director now, I think his father, directed the O one, I believe.
Oh, maybe.
I think, because I kind of read something that might have been like, like his father directed one of them or two of them. and now he wants to go and do the other one.
Yeah, Ivan Reitman did the first one. Yeah, you're right. So I think that's what it is that he's the yeah, because he's done. I mean, he's done some good movies. I mean, this guy, this director, he's done. I mean, Juno was really good. Up in the Air was really good.
Yeah,
Thank You for Smoking. I mean, these are good movies. None of them are very, very funny, but they're still pretty. Those are good movies. So
yeah,
I'm
because
looking
like
forward
even
to it. Yeah.
yeah, because even the commercial for well, I think they did like a teaser at one point in the beginning. Like they had a shed. It was like out in like I'm not gonna say the boonies, but it's out like in a grass field kind of area. There's a shed, and then you see the tarp like blow up, and then you see like Ecto One, and all of a sudden now me and my girlfriend are watching like, holy shit, like they're gonna have another one. I'm like, I was psyched, and then I guess COVID, hit around that time, and then it was on the back burner like everything else. So
Yeah. Which is going to be funny because the kid actor is not going to look anything like now what he does in the movie because,
yeah,
he's changed physically so much because of puberty and whatnot. It's going to be kind of funny that when he comes out for promos, he's like 4 inches taller and looks nothing like that guy.
they're hoping like like oh wait, you got so sorry.
Yeah.
But
And I'm excited for like having Paul Rudd in there. He just I love the he's like, oh, what a cool prop or a cool cosplay thing or whatever. And they're like,
yeah,
what are you talking about? And he's like, you don't know what this is. I like the idea that in this world, Ghostbusters were a thing. The first two Ghostbusters were a real thing, and then it's all stopped. And since then, it's just turned into something that you cosplay
yeah.
and just kind of have fun with. And
Nowadays that's what everything goes for. It's like you got the movies out and everybody's cosplaying everything that comes out movie wise, TV series. Like even Netflix has like The Witcher, which now The Witcher is going to have a new series coming out. A new season. Which I can't wait for that one because there's like a whole bunch of stuff going on. And even Stranger Things is their fourth season is going to be next year. So I think 2022. I don't know the exact month, but long time coming.
Yeah.
Which I can't wait to find out. What Hopper does in like Russia. From the last that we've seen on it. But let me just get back to like because you were talking about Thundercats when you went to your grandma's and she had like a couple episodes and everything else. What is your, let's say, top 3 cartoons that you'll watch? Like in the Thundercat area, kind of like when that was all going on.
Okay, so like cartoons from my youth. Got it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see here. So Thundercats was pre-high school. So I'm trying to think of that pre-high school era. So it would probably have to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would probably be like my number one. I did watch a lot of G.I. Joe, but it wasn't my favorite. I don't know. It was all right. I'm trying to think what else I watched back then. Turtles. I did watch the Ghostbusters. So there were 2 Ghostbusters cartoons. There was the Ghostbusters and then the real Ghostbusters. And I think I watched just the Ghostbusters a lot.
And just to reiterate about the 2 Ghostbusters that Sean was saying, there's one where it's just Ghostbusters like it is, and then you have the other one where there's a Ghostbusters with a monkey or a gorilla actually. So there was a gorilla one. And they drive around one of those where the vehicle where you had to spin the front to start it up.
Oh yeah, gosh, yeah, old crank, yeah,
the old crank, startup kind of, and then but then that vehicle is more alive as it is too. So there was different kinds of setups for Ghostbusters cartoons.
Weird. I didn't know about that one. I missed that one somehow.
A lot of people have missed out on that one. I'm like, because they're like, what the hell is this? A gorilla? And it was like part of that thing. They want an adapted kind of version, I guess. So, But yeah, no, that's good ones like the Ghostbusters. Anything else?
Yeah, I said, Ghostbusters, Turtles. I didn't watch Transformers much back then. GI Joe a little bit. I'm trying to think of some of those other shows. I'm just blanking. I know I watched. There was the Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon. There were two of them.
Hmm.
There was one that was more cartoony, silly, dumb, and then there was one that was a little bit more edgy. I
Yeah.
watched both of them. I thought they were both pretty fun.
What about
Yeah,
He-Man?
I didn't watch He-Man much. I really didn't. A lot of those shows, I was at the wrong age, or I just didn't watch them. I watched a heck of a lot of cartoons in that time. I mean, honestly, middle school age, I was still very into the Looney Tunes.
Okay,
I
yeah.
watched a lot of Animaniacs back then.
Yeah,
And
that's always good.
yeah, I was more into the comedy stuff than the serial villain of the week or villain of the episode kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, because mine was like He-Man. Because it's always fun, like when you get out of high school or not even high school, just you get out of school nonetheless, you come home, first thing you want to do, you hit the TV, and then you want to see the cartoons that is on and all that. So, like you said, Ghostbusters were one, but also Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah.
Though that was like the biggest thing. Kids, I mean, even like your kids these days, would not know the kind of cartoons that we watched on Saturday morning. Now they got these more, I'm not gonna say politically correct cartoons, but more, up to date cartoons for kids nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but like the ones that we've seen, where you have, Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, they had He-Man, you got GI Joe, like you were talking about, Transformers, all different kinds of stuff going up, even growing up and watching it on Saturday. Um, there was one that was called Dragon's Lair, which was originally a video game
Hmm.
in the arcade. Again, kids won't know about arcades nowadays because there's none around, I don't think. Everybody's home.
There was I'm trying to remember. You triggered a memory, and I'm trying
All right, yes.
to Google it. So there was a TV show I watched. And I have to Google here. Nintendo. I've got to spell Nintendo right. TV show in the Captain. What was it? Captain N, the Game Master.
Oh, I remember that one. Yeah, that's a
So,
oldie but goodie.
yeah, 89 to 91. So I watched that, and it was like this kid was playing video games and he got sucked in.
Yeah.
It was Nintendo, and so he had his blaster, and I think I'm looking at some of the images. He had the control pad. Yeah, the control pad was his belt buckle.
Yeah.
So he could like pause time in the game for a moment, and he would be unaffected by the pause. And he could power boost and stuff. So I watched that cartoon. That might have been a Saturday morning cartoon. And there was another one that had. I'm looking at some of the pictures here of that show. There was one also. This one had. It had Mega Man on it too.
Yeah. Mega Man and
It was a different show than this one, but there was one that also had Mega Man and some of the other characters. It was a little bit more like this one, like the people looked like people. The other one was a little bit more stylized cartoon. I also remember watching the Super Mario TV show. I watched that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm having this flood of memories back of all these cartoons that I watched as a kid. It's funny.
That's what I do. Bring back the childhood of other people. It's like, oh, I haven't seen it, but now I'm remembering them. It's all good.
Well, and you say Saturday morning cartoons, which is funny. I wasn't a big Saturday morning cartoon guy. I really wasn't until high school, honestly.
Yeah.
And that was when this guy I met in high school. He became a really good friend of mine, and he introduced me to Weird Al, ska, and anime.
Okay.
And none of these things were in my world at all until I met, his name is Jeff.
Yeah.
And so Jeff says, hey, you come over and check this stuff out, and so we became really good friends. And so like I have a huge Weird Al collection, and ska is still my favorite genre of music to listen to. But I remember he spent the night at the house, and he said, hey, can you set your alarm for 8 a.m.? And I'm looking at my watch and it's 2:30. I'm like, oh my God, why you gotta get up at 8? It's Saturday. And he goes, I can't miss Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, yeah.
But what the heck is Dragon Ball Z? Like, I understand those three things as separate, but I don't know what are you saying?
Yeah.
And he goes, you don't know what that is? And I said, no, I've never heard of it. He goes, dude, you got to watch it. So I said, all right. So the alarm goes off. We get up and we watch an episode. And this was back as they were being aired new to us in the States. And I was blown away by it. I was just so amazed. And so then that became the show that I was obsessed with all through high school and into college.
Yeah, that is like, I think I have like the series, like seasons or whatever. Not all of them, just a certain amount. I try to keep on watching it, and that was like my first ones I seen. And then there was Cowboy Bebop, which is like anime wise, and they got some other ones too. Castlevania, which was originally a video game, but now it's pretty much like a anime series that's on Netflix.
Yeah.
That one's really good. Gory as hell, but it's good. And everything else is like, I just try to follow everything I could of anime and all that, but then horror took precedence, as always. And I was talking to there was a woman, V, Life Paranormal with V, and we were just talking about poltergeist and everything else. And she has like a gift where she can see stuff and everything else, and but we're talking about like anime and all that, and there's a lot of stuff that coincides pretty much with everything that we were like watching, or like horror and everything else. But let me ask you this question. I ask people this question and just to see what kind of thing they're gonna like, so my question, and a friend of mine asked me this question, he goes, oh, put this on a podcast, and ask them like every time you do an interview. I'm like, okay, so who would die first, Betty White or Keith Richards?
Okay.
I don't know, honestly, dude. I don't know why he just asked me that, and I'm like, okay, you know what, fine, I'll go and put it in there. It'll be like one of those things I could do, like a weekly thing with every person I do like that, and see what their reaction would be. It's weird, but that's the way my shit rolls. It's like go into the weird shit.
So who will die first?
Die first? Because Betty White is going to be like 100 in January, and Keith Richards is like 75, 76 somewhere around there. But the guy looks like he's been dead twice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with all the chemicals that he's put in his body, he's probably pretty well fermented at this point. I think.
There you go, folks. Keyword: fermented.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Betty White literally she'll be 100 in January. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, she's gonna be 100 in January. So, like, I think it's January 14th or
January 17th. Yeah.
17th. And I'm planning on doing and people, you're hearing this fucking first. I'm doing a Betty White like birthday celebration. I mean, I don't really, I watch Golden Girls. I follow Betty White. She's a dirty bird. Even from the get-go, even before Golden Girls and everything else. She, like I said, she's a dirty bird back then, so nothing anything that comes out of her mouth has been said before, and she doesn't take no backseat to it, like on air or accepting an award or just being sexually whatever. Yeah.
One of my favorite Betty White lines. I mean, because you cast Betty White because she's this sweet woman, and then you make her say ridiculous things because she's willing to do it. Like
Yeah.
in the movie The Proposal. I mean, she's funny in that movie with Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock. But my favorite is she plays this kind of old lady caretaker in Lake Placid.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and her line is, "If I had a dick, I would tell you to suck it." It's just like, did Betty White just say that? I can't believe that. It's amazing.
I know, it's like Betty White just say that. I'm like, what the hell? But if you ever seen like Password, like the game show,
Mhm.
and she was married to the host, the original host of Password. So they were married for so long, and then I think he died of maybe like a tumor or something. And I mean, it wasn't natural causes, but then she went to do Password again, younger age, and there will be a word, and honestly, it's like okay, and then all of a sudden after she'd be like, and the host knows exactly what she was gonna say, and automatically put his hand around her mouth, like, no, you can't say that on the air, and she go, what, like I wasn't gonna say anything. He's like, I know what you're gonna say, and everybody's dying laughing. And it's just like that's a person I would love to like meet. Like I mean, I don't really have a bucket list, but if I did, that would be like on my bucket list. Meet Betty White and meet Elvira, and I'm good. You know, and again, Elvira, she just turned 70. You know, 3 days ago, I think, Friday.
Wow.
And plus, she has an autobiography. And I'm saying this because I'm trying to get her on the show. Because I mean, I know she's gone to like Channel 4 News and Channel 2 and 12 and whatever, and I don't know if she's going to be able to make it to this little podcast, but I mean, they're like Film Rage, Jim, he's like, hey, think high, and once you think about it, it will make it happen. And I'm like, all right, so that's why I've been promoting stuff. I'm like, listen, Johnny Depp, Elvira, anybody, you want to be on a show, let me know. So I'm like, I'm game for that because she has an autobiography. I tried watching the what was it, the live signing, the virtual signing they have now. So well, actually, I want to get the book too, but are you an Elvira fan or
I haven't watched 1 second of TV with her in it that wasn't a parody.
Yeah, that's true. Well, most of her career has been like a parody, nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, like it was like where she came on as a thing in a movie, like she's playing Elvira in the movie, but
Yeah,
not but that's not what the movie's about. Like it was
yeah,
a Leslie Nielsen movie, and
yeah,
I can't think of it, but I never watched any of her stuff.
yeah.
Again, horror is not my world at all. The my favorite part about Halloween is watching the kids movies with the kids. So like every year we watch Monster House, which even was a little scary for the kids because of the kind of the animation style was
Yeah.
it's a little off-putting. And Nightmare Before Christmas and the Charlie Brown Great Pumpkin and
But they don't show like Charlie Brown,
every
the
year.
Great Pumpkin, I think, anymore, don't they? Because of I don't know. There was like some kind of thing, about Charlie Brown that they didn't like. I know they didn't show like the Thanksgiving one because of some kind of thing that is not good for
Well,
youth.
so no. It was way more simple than it was money. Is that Apple owns the rights to Charlie Brown.
Oh,
Apple
okay,
bought
all right,
the rights, And so they were kind of threatening to say, we're not going to show it on national TV anymore. If you want to watch it, you got to come to our streaming. You got to come to Apple TV.
Oh, okay.
And, Twitter exploded and said, Apple, if you do this, then we will not only not watch it, but we'll boycott you.
Yeah.
And then Apple said, oh, we're just kidding. It's going to be back on NBC or whoever used to have it beforehand. So Apple kind of gave up and said, this is not a fight we want to, this is not a hill we want to die on.
Oh, no, definitely not. Actually, there is a cartoon movie for like Halloween, for the kids wise. And I love this one. This one's called Halloween Tree.
Yeah, my wife watches that with the kids.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you knew about Halloween Tree.
Leonard Nimoy is the narrator.
Yeah. We could. It's an awesome cartoon movie. And there is one. What was it? There's one. Remember, like when we come back from like school, and they always had like that after school special, like kind of thing. And there was a cartoon. It was like who Miss Switch is a witch.
Okay.
So that one is almost kind of like similar to like Halloween Tree. But I mean like the cinematography kind of thing, like the animation wise. Because they had the whole 1980s cartoon version, and it's like an after school special kind of thing, but basically Miss Switch is like a teacher. It's Halloween, but it's like that time of year where she becomes what she used to be, was a witch. I mean, she's a good witch, and the kids find out and they made friends with her and everything else, but now they had to deal with all the other witches, like from the cauldron area or whatever. But that's another thing to be able to watch or something. I don't know if your kids are gonna be like, like, oh, what is this? But Halloween Tree, that's a good to watch from that.
Yeah, we also do Hocus Pocus every year, and
oh yeah,
we've done Ernest Scared Stupid once, and my daughter got scared by the troll.
Oh yeah,
we might try it again sometime, but yeah, I mean that's kind of my favorite part of Halloween is doing the stuff with the kids, getting them, getting costumes and doing the trick-or-treating. And last year was the first year in the house that we're in now, so now that we kind of know what the neighborhood does for trick-or-treating, even though it was COVID trick-or-treating, it's like, oh, now we can kind of decorate the house a little more because we know what to expect and things like that. So that's where I'm looking forward to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because that's what I mean. I decorate like crazy, because now my girlfriend helps me out, and we decorate to a decent amount, where to the point where my girlfriend's like, all right, listen, we have no room, save some money, don't go overboard, because they can't get the 50-foot skeleton because we live on the top floor of an apartment building. So that's not going to be able to work out. But I like decorating that one, and I love getting dressed up and just going out there. I'll go with my nieces and my nephews. We go all over the place, and I'll try to dress up like scary as can be. To the point where my nephew's like, "Why you gotta be so scary?" I'm like, "What you want me to wear a wedding dress the next time or something?" I don't know. Yeah, which I said I was gonna do one year, but then I think that was like COVID, and and plus it was really, really cold. So
so so you're in New York.
Long Island, New York.
Long, okay. So the nearest park that's near you is either going to be Dorney or probably Dorney Park. Have you ever heard of that place? It's near Allentown, I think.
Yeah.
And there's most people have heard of Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. So Cedar Point is owned by a company called Cedar Fair. Cedar Fair owns now the park that's here in Charlotte called Carowinds. And Carowinds does Scarowinds during October. And I worked there for 4 years as the tech director for the entertainment department. And so I got to be part of They're called mazes, but they're not mazes. Maze implies you can get lost. They're haunted houses, right? It's just a structure that you walk through that they try to scare you.
Yeah.
And so I got to help build one, and it was called Defects. And so it's all about defective toys. And what they did was, this was kind of neat. The manager of Scarowinds was trying to find a way to decorate this, to try to decorate the space, and they found this guy had been a collector of dolls. He had collected dolls all his life and had died, and his children were trying to just get rid of them.
Yeah.
And so Carowin said, "We'll buy all of them." And so they packaged them up in a crate. And so imagine a pallet, and so a box the size of a pallet that's 6 feet tall. So I guess a pallet's like what, 4 feet by 4 feet by 6 feet, wooden. And that when you unlatched the door to swing it down, dolls fell out. I mean, there must have been 600 of these plastic dolls, and of varying sizes and shapes and colors and whatever. And we just wrecked them. So I mean, I'm drilling holes in faces and connecting like wires and hose and sticking them, and we're nailing them to walls. And so like the idea is, like, when you get into this place, the front is designed to make it look like a normal toy store. And then you walk around the back, you kind of go around the counter, and all of a sudden stuff is already starting to look weird. And then there's dolls everywhere. And then that's when stuff gets really scary. And you have people dressed up as dolls, and they're like leaning against the wall, and they have like dolls all over them. So as you walk by, they reach out, and scare you stuff. So that was a blast. I love doing that. But mostly what I did was I ran sound for the shows. So they would have like a song and dance show. And so we'd have, the performers would be in various outfits, the prom queen that's dead. Like, they're all zombified, right? The prom queen, the dude, the football player, the skater, or whatever. And they're singing, your traditional ballroom blitz and Thriller and a lot of that kind of stuff. And it was a blast. I really loved working there. It was a good time. But so for about 7 weeks, Halloween was my life. I mean, it was literally how I made a living for the 4 weeks before October, setting everything up, and then that run of Halloween.
Well, since on the subject of haunted houses that you were being a part of, and with the sound and everything else, what do you like about haunted houses? And do you like the jump scare part, like them coming out running at you, or do you like the thing where they'll just jump out and then scare you? Like you were talking about, like they hide in plain sight, and then like, and then that's it. But then you got these, what I mean?
So the it's like when you work at a fast food place, you don't want to eat there. So when you build these things, you go through them to kind of experience them, to see what other people experience. And I know where the jump scares are going to come from because I know where they are. And I also know that they can't physically touch me. They can't hurt me. So there's also that. The thing that I kind of always hated about them is that they're too noisy. They're too loud. Yeah. So they have speakers above, and in most of the ones that we have, they have speakers, and they're just playing like, Rammstein and System of a Down and Disturbed and like all these kind of metal kind of bands, and it's cranked to like 95 dB. I mean, it's really loud in there. So because it's so loud, you're already kind of getting an overload that way. So when there is a jump scare, it doesn't quite affect you as much because one of your senses is already overwhelmed. I suggested, but it was cost prohibitive, to say you need to make one that's silent, because what's creepier in a horror movie, what makes The Conjuring scary, some of the scenes that are scary, is when you don't know what's about to happen.
Oh yeah.
And the sound is quiet, like when the mom is playing that clap hide and seek game, and then the clap comes from a space that she knows, what I'm saying? Like the clap comes from behind her. And that's scary because it's silent. And
Yeah.
then like, so I mean, I was talking to the builders, and I'm like, could we soundproof one? And they said it would just cost so much, we would
Yeah.
never recoup that cost. And so the only one that I ever went through that was legitimately creepy, there was one that I liked for the cleverness, and then there was one that was legitimately creepy, because we had about 7 on campus on the property that lived forever. So even when the park is normal operating hours, they're just covered. You don't know what they are. They just look like a maintenance shed.
Yeah.
um Last Laugh was a clown one, and they also use scent generators. So like you're walking through, it smells like bubblegum and popcorn, which was kind of neat. But
Yeah.
there was the only kind of scary part is they had these they're called jumps, they're literally called the jump scares. And imagine a bungee cord, you're in a harness, and a bungee cord goes to 2, like a goalpost on either side. And so they would pull themselves back and then let go, and they would physically fly at you.
Oh,
So as you round the corner, there's a dude that coming at you. Now they have practiced it so many times, they know how far to release so they don't run into you.
yeah.
There's no risk, even if you're like on that side of the wall, there's no risk of you being hit by them. But it's scary because they're flying in the air. The other ones that were pretty good, we had one that was called Dead Inn, INN,
Yeah.
and it was like a haunted, or it was like a hotel where the caretakers are murdering people. So like you walk in, there's a bell and a desk, and then you go around it, and then it goes down the hallway, and you go into a room, and the room looks normal, but then you're forced to go into the closet where there's just blood everywhere, and then you kind of go through the wall, and then you see all these stacks of old luggage. So the
Oh.
idea is that they have to put the luggage somewhere. But one of the coolest effects was you walk into the room, and it looks like when you walk in, there's a bed and a TV and the lamp and the stand and all that stuff, right? And then it looks like it's framed like a mirror.
Mhm.
And when you look at the mirror, you're seeing the bed and the TV, and everything is exact. And then as you're walking towards the door, a monster would step through the mirror because
Yeah.
it's just a window into another room that's set exactly the same.
Yeah.
So it looks like a mirror, but it's not. And so they would step through, and I mean, that scared the crap out of me the first time because you're not expecting a human to come through there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the other one that was legitimately scary for me, and honestly, it was scarier when the house was off, when there wasn't jump scares, when it was in shutdown mode, was called Slaughterhouse, and it was designed to look like a haunted, slaughterhouse. And there were dead
Yeah.
pigs, and there was an anima. It was a fake, like a mannequin butcher,
Hmm.
and every night the crew would go in and move him a little bit so that if you came the next night, he would be in a different position.
Yeah.
And the maintenance guys, they told us, when we were having to go in to work on some lights in there, they're like, we don't go in there unless it's full lights on. And we're like, really? Why? And they said, there's there's something in here. Like they were really like these are grown ass men
Yeah.
who work on rides and other thing, and they're like, we don't go in there without the lights on. So I was like,
Yeah.
all right. So I did it. My crew, we walked through it with the lights off, and none of us liked it. We could not wait to get out of there. It's weird. It's creepy.
Like for me, we call it, and I don't know. I think my sister called me like a hypocrite at one point because I like scaring people, and I love Halloween and everything else. But for me to go, I'll go to like one of those like there's a in Long Island there's a place called Adventureland, and you go there, you got your rides and everything else, and then they got a haunted attraction, which is basically you're sitting in a chair and you're driving in like House on Haunt not House on Hill, House of a Thousand Corpses, like Captain Spaulding's rides, and basically that's it. And then you just got like all the like, oh my god, all the scary kind of like stuff like in the dark and everything else. That was no problem. And I'll walk through stuff like I was saying before that no to go, oh, like, oh shit, like okay. But the running after you with the fake chainsaws, I hate that. That is like, all right, call me hypocritical about it, but I don't like when they start running after you. Yeah, that's a little bit overkill, especially when you have to sign like a waiver, because all they can touch you, this and that. I'm like, I don't like to sign a waiver for anything, let alone if it's something that's uh like dangerous for my part, like I'm gonna go on a ride. Okay, sign a waiver. I'm like, okay, fine. Yeah. But that was it. So I'm like, I just don't like the running after with the chainsaw thing. I'm not going to be like that guy or the group of kids on the car insurance commercial. It's like, oh, let's go in the running car. No, don't be an idiot. Let's hide behind the chainsaws.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like the serial killer looking at me like, yeah, bunch of stupid asses. Yeah. But all right. Well, I think that is about it. We always talk about different shit, so there's nothing pretty much like to specifics, or anything like that. But tell everybody where they can find you, or you get your merch, and what just plug away.
Cool. Yeah. Well, thanks. Appreciate that. Yeah. Cheapseatreviews.libsyn, LIBSYN.com is our website. There you can find links to pretty much everything. Yeah. And speaking of merch, for the rest of this month, our merch is on sale. I don't control when the stuff goes on sale, but it's on sale, 38% off our merch. So T Public, if you just do a search for Cheap Seat Reviews at tpublic.com, you'll find us and buy a shirt or a button or a coffee mug or a sticker or something. It'd be great.
And then also you can check me out on Twitter, podcast, Tattoo Squid, YouTube. You go to the Linktree, / Tattoo Squid podcast. And also I got merch where you can go to Tattoo Squid podcast threadless.com and got a whole bunch of stuff, even a skateboard deck. You can go on there, do a skateboard deck if you want, with the pictures I have on there and whatnot. Then that would help, as also Sean would say too, it will help with the podcast tremendously via whatever it could be, new gear, new wire, hopefully a studio that I can do instead in the bedroom or garage. And also check out YouTube, where I'll have some Loot Crate opening boxes, which like 2 months late on, but hey, time to more content. So all right, everybody, have a good day, good Sunday fun day. And you, sir, have a good, even though I cut in on your Sunday time. Yeah.
No worries at all, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you having me on. Seriously.
Yeah, no problem. And then we'll do it again on your channel. Whenever a certain movie comes up, we'll go do that again. That was fun. Love to do that again. Now I know what to get into with the the 5-word review and the 3 top reviews. So all right, everybody, check out Cheap Seat Reviews. Check them on where you said they're going to look for them, and review. Just give them the 5-star review. And same here. So thank you, Sean, and I'll talk to you in a few minutes after we stop recording and whatnot. All right, everybody, have a good night.